Greetings and welcome to SmartWatchTicks.com. Guys, as you can tell from the title of today's video, we may be looking at these things completely backwards. It might not be so important which device you pick as it is in which app you're using to get your data from these devices to tell you significant things about you. Yeah, like I say, something significant happened. Here it is. Now, these opportunities don't come along very often, but when they do, it's worth trying to capture them on one or more of these different apps for these smart devices, the rings and the watches, right? This is Fitbit, my gold standard, and I want to show you something. When I come in here to the opening page, it tells me a range of heart rates it's had so far for the day, and when it picks up the signal from the device, it'll actually start pulsing the current heart rate. Now, when I go deeper into this and I touch this, I get into the summary of heart rate information for the past several days, showing you my resting heart rate over the week and irregular heart notifications if there have been any, and your overall heart rate charts. Let's start here because the Fitbit does a good job of detecting AFib. Here's irregular rhythm notifications, last analyzed, and sure enough, yesterday it detected some signs of AFib. It comes up with a synopsis by literally the minute. Look at this, 8:52, 55, 57. You go into any of these, it shows you down to the thousandths of a second what the heart rate was at any particular moment. This is almost at 9 o'clock at night. You can see more and see more and see more. And as you can tell from the numbers, it's jumping all over the place in the actual heart rate reading it's getting, only half a second apart, and more and more and more on that particular reading. And then there's more readings that it's doing, and even still more. So gold standard, I tell you, is the Fitbit Sense, or probably the Versa. This is the older one that doesn't have the actual physical button on it, but that haptic button. Still good, though. Still does some great things, because it's this that I want to compare with the Oura Ring and the Ringcon Oura, right? We come down here and we take a look at these charts. Now, here's what's interesting. Yesterday, this is the heart rate, and occasionally there's some spikes. That's typical when you have an intermittent type of a situation. But if you have a complete catastrophe, it'll look like this. And the red is when the beat's getting up really, really high. And you can see it's starting somewhere around 5:53 in the evening, and it continues to be a high heart rate all the way through to midnight. Then you go to the next night, which is last night, and check it out. It continues for a little while from midnight forward, and right around 12:45 it drops down, so by 12:50 it has come back down into a normal range, with, again, a couple of occasional jumps, but nothing significant as that range. Why I'm showing you that is because now I want to switch us over to, let's do the Oura Ring. Here we are in Oura today. I'm going to slide us down past a lot of the stuff to heart rate. Here we are, and check it out. This is from midnight, 12 to 12:30, 12:30 to 1 a.m., and as soon as you're at 1 a.m., it's down in a regular range. So it saw in that half hour basically change from 123 down to 71. You can see the little dots right there, and you can see the chart plummeting. If I go back to yesterday, right here, check it out, and look at the stress levels that are showing up along with it as this event is kicking off in the neighborhood of 5 something or other, 5:30 to 6. By 6:30 to 7, it's way up there. It's showing the same rise and fall, but basically staying in the higher range during that time. So confirms that the Oura Ring does a good job of giving you an assessment of a deviation from normal, We may not get exactly the same heartbeat numbers, especially if there's an AFib situation where it could be 73 and a half a second later 125, but you're getting the predictive range being comparable between the much more attuned Fitbit that can actually detect the AFib happening and the Oura Ring, which is giving you this kind of a sinus wave. But wait, there's more. There is Ringcon. We come into the Ringcon ring. We can come down here. This is on today. Just tap on the heart rate, and we're over to the heart rate chart. And son of a gun, if it isn't the same, look at this. Midnight, it's way up there. Comes over here at 12:25 to 12:30, 12:30 to 12:35, 40 at 40 to 45, and then at 50, 45 to 50, it's dropped down again. Exactly the same 5-minute window as seen on the Fitbit is picked up on the Ringcon ring in a major change in heart rate. Take it back a day. Here we go. When this whole thing started somewhere in 530 range. Now this one's showing low heart rate, and the other two were showing it picking up, but eventually it starts to rise, but not nearly as much. So the pickup on the higher heart rate, generated most likely from AFib, which finally kicks in up here near 10 o'clock to midnight. It does show it, but it didn't pick up the early, immediate rise. But it certainly picked it up when it was over, when it fell down completely. So, assessment in terms of heart rate. Definitely, the Fitbit does a great job of capturing all of this stuff in a very fine detail, and has the ability, if you turn it on, to give you irregular rhythms notification and show you why it's giving you that assessment down to the milliseconds of timing for each heart rate itself. So Fitbit, great. Oura Ring, I would say, comes in next in terms of capturing both the upswing that it got and the downswing. So its data is very presumed accurate on this, at least comparatively. And then Ringcon, who's a little bit not tracking quite as closely, but is still nonetheless giving good results. It's not sitting here. What I'm trying to point out, a lot of these watches will sit here and it'll look like this, 50, 60, 70, even when it's actually beating up 125 to 30. That's not good. What you want is a device that's going to give you relative comparable accuracy in the zone that you're in, if not explicit accuracy in the exact numbers. Hope that makes sense. That's the assessment I got for you for heart rate between these three devices. Now, foundationally, it's really important, especially if you're trying to get some good biometric data on yourself or preparing yourself for good workout activity and wanting to make sure you're tracking your zones and doing everything just right. Yeah, it's really, really important to check the app. So that's what we're going to do today, is go through deep dive into the apps for the Fitbit, the Ringcon, and the Oura Ring. So before we start, a big shout out to Kospet. They wanted me to let you know that they were at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas early part of January 2024. That's rare. Especially for a smaller company like Kospet. And they've got some new watches to announce. They don't yet have the names, numbers ready for disclosure or the specs, but you can see what they're going to look like. And this, guys, is their current lineup, and we've reviewed each and every one of those. So hang in here. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because we got some big announcements coming from Kospet. All right, are you ready? I want to jump in on the Fitbit app first, okay? This is a very well-organized and detailed app, and first thing I want to let you know is this is the basic one. I do not have a subscription for the advanced version of the app, but you get a ton of information just from the basic one. Remember, the Fitbit is a subscription program for your data on the app. So is the Oura Ring. But the Ring-Con, you get all the data and there's no subscription. So that's a nice decision-making point in the long run, depending on how much money you want to spend beyond the device itself to keep the data flowing properly. Here we are on the Fitbit app. You can set up whatever kind of criteria you want. Obviously, I'm following heart health. And so I get a big heart at the beginning, and some other data as you go through shows up down here. When you tap that heart, you get into the information I already showed you. I've had a few more days since that significant event happened way back here, I believe it was, right there. And you can see things have settled down nicely. Just from the cursory review, you can tap any of them, go in for more detail. And we've looked pretty extensively at what the heart rate reading is for this one. Going further, you have these different activities, zones, and exercises you can get into, your overall health metrics, and it gives you description of when you're in your personal range. You tap on that, you get into another analysis that shows you where you are specifically in your range, and each of these then you can break down further by going into charts specifically for that. So once you wear any of these devices for a long period of time, at least a week, preferably a month, you can get a history and start to develop norms. And then you get, ranges that you can go into and view even more of them. And they mention, and it always is good to remind you, this is not for medical purposes. This is just information to help you out in understanding how your body's working, okay? So breath rate, heart rate variability, that has to do with stress and some other things. If you dive deep into heart rate variability, you can see the overall range over the past several days right there, a week basically. And same kind of thing all the way through. Skin temperature now, this assesses your skin temperature against a normal that it determines after you wear it long enough, and then it shows the deviation from that normal. I mean, you can figure out what that is, 95, 97, whatever it is for you, but you'll see that delta. And so it can let you know when you possibly might have a cold, which I'm recovering from right now actually, where my temperature was a little bit high for a few days. And you can see today's skin temperature at any time by tapping that, and it'll bring that information up for you. So you've got that, you've got oxygen saturation, that's the blood oxygen they talk about, SpO2, and your range should be from 90 to 100, and it gives you what your history is there. If you get congestion in your lungs, you might see that go down. It's not detailed enough to show effects of sleep apnea, but it's giving you an average number overall for that. And then your resting heart rate here, which is traditionally nice and low, and that's the first thing we saw on that big chart at the very top that had all of the heart rates listed as well. And again, you can pick any date range you want and see that week and the data that goes along with it. This is all part of the free app. We haven't gotten anything yet that we need to pay money for. It'll let you know if it's part of the advanced program. You go into trends now, and you get these charts. Breaths per minute, heart rate variability. It's showing you a broader range of time now. There was an abnormally above-below reading here in heart rate variability at that particular day. Not letting me touch to analyze it, but you can dive deeper if you need to. Here's some high skin temperatures that were happening at particular dates, and oxygen saturation and so forth. You start to get the feel for things and what you could do with this data. You can even do 90 days. So the longer you have your device, the more detailed you'll get, and the more likely you'll be able to see odd things happen and then account for them in what's happening in your life. And back to today if you want to. That's all in that health metrics area. So this is the same as that. So we've covered the heart rate and the health metrics. Then there's the zone minutes. It's jumping into something different down here, so let's go across here. Zone minutes is showing you the time that you were in a specific zone that you've set up for workout activity. Moderate, or higher. Time in your health rate zones. It shows you the zones that you need to hit. Now, I'm more or less sedentary, so you don't see me hitting some of these high zones in working out. But if you are, and you see that doing that, and the phone is vibrating while I'm sliding through them, it's giving you intricate data of your heart rate right there. And your overall heart rate zones are shown here, and you can learn more about it. You can get daily, weekly, monthly, or for the whole year, by month, if you want to. A lot of detail on this one. And that's this, and then you've got your actual exercise days, specific days that you've logged an actual walk or run or activity, and those will show up then linearly underneath here. So if I pick one of these, for example, it was an 11-minute walk, the steps, the energy burned, and your heart rate chart is shown there, and time spent in each of the zones as well. Typical kind of stuff, weekly, monthly as well. And that's all of this. So now we come down. We've got heart, skin temperature, sleep duration, activity going on. There's a lot to this app. You go into heart. This is what we've already seen in that previous video. Here's the resting heart rate as it changes, the irregular rhythm notifications, your high heart rate history, and then your actual charts themselves. I won't go any more into that because we've already covered it, basically. You've got beyond heart, your skin temperature variation. Now we're getting yet another kind of a chart. It's smoothed out, but it's showing you how your skin temperature is with respect to your normal. It's in the personal range, but it's hard to tell if it's above or below because we aren't accordingly above or below. But the average here, it's 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit above. And it says my total this week was 0.6. Let's look at the month. It's calculating that. Okay, there's the chart for the month. There was a time frame I got pretty high. And that's kind of how the overall temperature works. Nothing going really low, but sometimes getting bumped up kind of high. I'm not sure why this isn't at 0, but it's at plus 2.4. And then here's your actual daily readings. Wow, throughout the day itself, there was something high on Thursday. So we can go in here and see that I was peaking at 5 degrees above where it should be, average at 4:03 a.m. Again, this is free. I'm not getting this because I'm paying the subscription. So although when you watch my review of this watch, I kind of diss the idea of having a subscription plan just to see your own data, well, I got to admit that Google with Fitbit now are releasing a whole lot of your data directly to you, which I think is really, really valuable and important simply by downloading the app and hooking it up with the watch and tracking yourself. Sleep duration, now we get into sleep chart, weekly, monthly, 3 months, and year. This is the overall sleep score, which it assigns based on different criteria. And now you get down into here. Now, this is an interesting thing about the Fitbit that's different than any of the other devices I've seen. If you happen to get up in the middle of the night for a while, it breaks it up into 2 different or 3 different sleeping events during that time. Now, on Thursday here, I had a bit of trouble sleeping. And you can see I got 12:33 to 2:04, 3:24 to 6:55, 12:17 to 1:57. This is in the afternoon, a nap. Whoops, touched it, so it just shows you basically the breakdown. But this was at night where I was up for a little while between here and here, so it broke it up and only gave me a score for that segment of sleeping. Most of the other devices, if it's at nighttime and you're up for 15 minutes, an hour or something, will seam that in and just show a large awake time like this, rather than breaking it up and saying, oh, that was it for your sleep. So, little concerned it's not contiguously tracking your sleep time. When you tap this, you get a really fun little chart. You got dots across the bottom. You can go through them like this. It shows you the breakdown of your awake. There's the REM sleep time. You can see the others subtly in the background, but it's separating and giving you these criteria exactly when they're happening against the other stuff and giving you the synopsis. So it's the same chart, it's just literally broken into small segments this way. And you can do that for any of these. If I take this one, which is a full night's sleep, there's the score, sleep time, sleep stages. You can change and make it this big chart or bring it back down that way. And your overall time spent in those charts. Now we get into more details. Here's the estimated oxygen variation. That's your blood oxygen. Here's where you could see possibly some dips if you think you're holding your breath at night. And also some peaks. There's above, high, I don't know, breathing fast, taking oversaturation of the oxygen. I'm not sure. Again, when I woke up, same kind of thing. But you do get that overall chart. Now you get into other things, sleeping heart rate. Whenever it says learn more, now we're getting into an area where you got to have the subscription. It'll tell you what to do, how you're going to do it, what it'll do, and get started. Takes you to the page to subscribe. So all of these things, if you want that information, is an extra charge. And then there's your sleep schedule. And that's all in the overall sleep section of the app. Finally, we get into activity zone minutes, steps, hourly activity, distance, energy burned, and floors climbed. All of those are basically about what you're doing for your activity. Exercise days, we saw that. There's where you can go into these things. Again, the minutes, we've already seen that. So it's the same data, just now grouped in further down on the list. Your total step count is displayed there, daily, weekly, monthly, and so forth. Hours of activity is kind of fun, and that's one of the main reasons I love this watch. You see the little chart thing at the top, that tracks actual steps, and if I get to the middle, that's 250 steps. Once you hit 250, you get a check mark for that hour. So I've got my morning checks on here, and before it gets to 1 o'clock, I'll be out and doing at least 250 steps or more. This watch face I cover in another review. It's a special custom one that you can download to the Fitbit or Versa app. Versa or Sense, I guess. This is the Sense, the original. And again, those will all get check marks, and you set a goal. I try to get 10 out of 10 from 8 in the morning to 5 at night, and it just works for me. And here's your previous average and today's average, and you can kind of compare where you are at different parts of the process. Distance, energy burned, floors climbed. It actually monitors that. 1 floor of stairs equivalent. And you don't need many to get your daily count in. Mindful days. Now we get into stress monitoring, and this is where more subscription information is required. So I got mindful sessions that I can do, dealing with stress. You can do a journal where you can get your journey in here, guided breathing, quick scans, an app that you can do on here. And what the results of those are. For example, here's one that shows while in the 2 minutes while I was doing it, information about the heart rate. It's called an EDA, and that's built into the app, and it's one of the apps that comes with the Fitbit, and nobody else does that. And of course, when you do it, you're getting that data presented to you for free. Here's a guiding breathing session, and you can log that information. So if you're working on stress for yourself, mindfulness, there's some really good detailed opportunities to take advantage of in here. Mindful minutes now is something different, and I don't have a chart for that, it says, but these are the different sessions. And of course, the settings gear on all of these, you can make changes to it. And then guidance and inspiration with Fitbit Premium are little coaching things that can help you along with all of this. Speaking of coaching, that's another tab down here. That comes with the Fitbit Premium. And if you're into working with people, working with apps to help you either work out or relax or take care of stress, there's a whole detailed process through that. And finally, the U is where you set up the information for you personally. and we won't go deep into that one because that's personalized basically. But just to show you, you've got community down here. All of my personal stuff is up above. Family, friends, and groups that you can sign up for. A feed, all those things are part of it as well. So that's pretty much the Fitbit app in an overview with some detailed deep dives into the things it can do. I'm very impressed with it, especially around the biometrics, especially around the heart health area, because they have taken an active role in supporting irregular heart rhythms. So if that's something you may be dealing with, this is definitely a device that I feel comfortable working with because it can give you notifications. And it's gone through a lot of review process in the USA, which is really important to help validate that it's something you can work with. I want to stay away from the words accuracy and medical diagnosis because they do not apply to any of these things. They're certainly not certified at the medical level, but they are comfortable in giving you tendencies and trends. And that's, as I said in that first piece, that's something really valuable. Okay, let's switch from the watch now to rings and mention that, a ring is a ring. There's no display on it. There's no, it's just what it looks like on your finger as a ring, but there's nothing you can compare doing the review of the apps and the screens that you can install and stuff. So what really, really is valuable for these rings is the data, because that's really why you're wearing them. The positive about this is that they are being worn on your finger right here close to your hand. So they don't have as much movement when you're sleeping. They don't bend sometimes and not touch your skin. They're up close and personal. There is a little problem because they want those sensors. You see them here? They want those at the bottom of your finger. Oura has come up with a ring design that has a little flat thing on the top. So when you put it on, you make sure that flat part is up and your sensors are properly located at the bottom of your finger. RingCon now is a pure ring, so you have to kind of look at it and see where the sensors are. They're a little bit wider, so when you put them on, you want to just constantly check it and make sure you're twirling it to get it in the right place. Now, a benefit of both of these, this is the Generation 3, and this is their second version I think they've come up with. Anyway, the diodes in here, they have green and red diodes as well as infrared, and you'll see the light from them, especially at night. So you want to turn this so that it's at the bottom of your hand. For one, you don't want it flashing at you in the night, right? And that keeps them aligned. So occasionally I'll find myself waking up, and if I see the light on the top of my hand, I grab it and I rotate it till it's in the right position. And that makes sure all the data comes in correctly on the apps. Speaking of which, let's jump over to the Oura app. Now, just like Fitbit, Oura as a ring has been around for a long time, few years, and they've been doing continual improvements to their overall app. So the last time we covered this app, when we reviewed the actual ring, it's changed considerably, and we're going to show you some of that. The beautiful graphics are still here, floating underwater, showing your activity goal, very large digits for your step information. That's all the same. This is new, daytime stress, showing you kind of a nighttime zone where there's no data, but then you start getting dots representing your overall stress level and telling you right basically to the moment that it's been monitoring you where you are. It's saying, for me in particular, my physiological stress is elevated a bit. That was 16 minutes ago. So it's keeping track of this stuff very accurately. Heart rate, likewise, has been modified with different colored dots to show you stress as well as heart rate and all kinds of things going along with it. You get down here to readiness score. It's showing you over the last 8 days, or 8 weeks, average of your weeks, how you're doing as you're going through life on that. Same with sleep score, activity score, and then this is new, this body clock concept. It's tracking the midpoint of your sleep, which is an interesting way to break it down, not by going to bed too early or too late, or the overall range, but literally the midpoint. And so that gives you an idea of how closely you are to sticking with a specific schedule, apparently. And that's in here. Then you've got overall readiness, sleep by itself, bedtime information, and some exploration stuff. So we'll dive into these things and take a look as we go back up to step count, typical breakout information, and a very, very fine chart showing you the daily movement, literally by minute practically in here from 4 a.m. It's starting on this one up to 12 a.m. during the nighttime period, and this is 12 p.m. all the way up to 12 a.m. Okay, when I tap on the numbers again, this is the second time now. Now we're getting some more information. Today, yesterday, all of these are representative of different days. There's a big bright one right there where I had 12,000 steps, miles, which is pretty darn good. Here we are today. Of course, it's working its way through the day. My activity level, some things to pay attention to. Again, the daily movement chart, all of that stuff is available on here. That jumped us actually from home over to activity. So go back to home. We were in the activity goal. You could record a workout if you want to. And now we're down into the daytime stress. Now notice we tap here and we're getting that chart blown up larger and stressed for 45 minutes, restored 15 minute, and engaged. It says basically what it was saying from before. And all of this stuff changes consistently throughout the day. Then you've got heart rate. When we come in here, there's your actual heart rate information. You can see the zones here. That's 167 to 117 from 11:30 to 12, and it changes so forth along the way. So the actual numbers, and then a normalized chart is presented as well. Restorative time, it appears here when your ring detects periods of rest and recovery. Stress is shown here. Sleeping is all here. And that's your low point, it looks like. And then overall workouts, if you have any. And then your daytime information, average daytime heart rate is in here. Now this peak looks like those charts I showed you earlier where there may be an intermittent AFib. I don't think many people will see that on their charts, but depending on what your heart's doing, you might see little peaks pop up like that. And that's kind of an expanded breakout of the heart rate section, which you got to from here. So a lot of good information is presented in here. We slide up, you get into the trends shown are based on your focus area, and we can set different focus areas. Mine is on improve my health, and all that can be changed, and you'll get different results showing up in different ways. The readiness score now. Again, over time, each of these are the different days, and you can go back and see that for however long your history is. Overall readiness, that's just kind of one global number to show you how you're doing, and I'm at 92 today, which is awesome, which I'm not sure is really right because I'm kind of recovering from a cold and still a little under the weather, but it's saying it's pretty darn good. You have the weekly charts, you have monthly charts as well, so it can cram everything up even tighter if you want to. Then you get your sleep score for the last 8 days, but of course you have more if you want to in here. And again, you can break that down by these different categories and your activity score. So they're big on doing a nice kind of a following graph to give you a process through time of how things are going for you. I was getting pretty sedentary down here in this part of the year, early January. It's peaked back up a little bit right here. And it's still pretty darn good, 80% out of 100. You can tag different activities and, of course, break it down further if you want to. Now we get into the body clock we mentioned, but when we tap on it, look at this. It's the optimal sleep schedule that is based on your chronotype, which is your ideal circadian rhythm. And it's able to compute all of that. Mine is roughly 4:15 in the morning or so. It tells you a little bit about it, but this is for illustration purposes only. Slide over here. and it'll show you your actual one and how close or far off it is from the average for you. And then the midpoint of sleep is that white dot that marks that spot for you. Okay, so this is my actual data now. That was the instructions on it. And it's saying that as of last night, I was aligned. My sleep was aligned with my optimal sleep schedule. And that helps me wake up alert and energized, and probably the 92 number on my overall score. And I'm a late morning type, and my sleep regulation is good. And you can go deeper into this, time in bed, all kinds of interesting stuff available. And here's this chronotype and what it means to be a morning is your time. I don't know if you can hear the rooster out there going off, but morning is his time, that's for sure. We can't control nature out here where I'm located, so we get all the ambient background noise. Asleep, midpoint, and awake, this is my chronotype. So I go to bed and wake up roughly around those times, typically. Okay, lot of detail in the body clock. That's unique to Oura. I don't see that with Fitbit or with Ringcon. This is something special. If you want to really work on assessing your sleep schedule, that's a factor to consider in getting the Oura Ring. Now, Oura is also a subscription program, and I tell you on this one, I do have the subscription going, so I'm not able to tell you what parts would be excluded if you don't buy the subscription, because it's all included. It's a little window when they move from one generation to another of this ring, that if you bought the new generation, they'd give you lifetime access to their app without having to pay the monthly fee, and I was able to take advantage of that. So to be clear, you're seeing the full-on complete app here, whereas on the Fitbit, you were seeing the unregistered version, the free version. There could be a difference there, and I don't know honestly what parts are not included. I think Body Clock might be one of those that you end up getting when you subscribe. If any of you guys know you have the Oura and you're not on the subscription plan and you're looking at what we're seeing here, the things that are here that you're not getting, please let us know in the comments. That'll help a lot. Okay, the readiness score, 92. Here's my readiness score for the last 7 days. That's shown here. You have a whole readiness tab that you can get into next. Sleep optimal. This is just showing you a synopsis of it and your sleep cycle information. That's also on a tab. So this is an overall summary as you go through your bedtime tonight recommendations, and then you can explore other things. So let's pop over to readiness. Now, instead of seeing today specifically, now we're seeing the chart that you can back up to any day you want to, what the numbers are and what the resting heart rate was. So nice low resting heart rate for a high level of readiness. Any of these you can go into, like body temperature, and you can see the specifics for the body temperature bouncing around an average, which is not the specific number of your body temperature, but the average that you then deviate from that, much like the Fitbit does on that as well. Your resting heart rate chart, you get that in here as well. You've got your heart rate variability over time, and it's telling you different things. You can add tags and stuff to this. And then your respiratory rate, which is nice. That I don't remember seeing as much on the Fitbit, but this is your breathing rate while you're asleep, basically, and 14.3, 15.7, and it's actually calculating how well you're breathing when you're in that relaxed state. All of that contributing to an overall readiness score, and this is the grand chart of all the different readiness scores from the past time as well. I picked a nice day to do this, it looks like. Great. Here's readiness contributions. These are the things that are feeding that, and they're all blue. When you're up in the 90s, I guess they are. Oftentimes these will have something to look at. I've got good and good, not quite optimal there. Maybe if those were optimal, I'd be almost at 100%. More details, then you get into your heart rate, resting heart rate. and it's calculating that to be right here. Sometimes there's gaps in the data when the rings moved funny or something, and it just edits those out and contributes the rest of it to computing your information. Here's heart rate variability, and you see I've got quite a range on this. My maximum is 135, average is 52. You have to do a lot of research and study to understand heart rate variability, how it affects stress and your overall health, emotions, moods, things like that. But you got the data to work with. So if you become an expert at heart rate variability, you've got that information there. And again, any of these you switch to, it'll immediately change to that particular place. So that's the readiness tab. The sleep tab, similarly, you're not getting today's page per se, but getting the synopsis from the past. And you can see there's some nights that I slept really, really long, and then others lower, and then we're right here at 85%. Total, time in bed, sleep efficiency, and resting heart rate. I can go into any of these there, and you get the same kind of charts like we saw before. Total time in bed going on here. Sometimes if you're having emotional issues and just not feeling like you want to face the world, you can check these charts, see if you're staying in bed too much. There I stayed in bed a lot, and then here not quite as much, and maybe that's contributed to my overall readiness score. A lot of different things to take into consideration with these. So that's the sleep. There we go. We've got some things that were off a little bit there, and you'll see those show up. Then there's the full chart and movement while you're in bed, which is really fun. You got awake, REM, and light, and deep. A lot of data related to your overall sleep time. And then you tap this and you get back into this particular chart, which is yet another way to express all of this data. And it just computed this average right in here. So, yeah, and then you have average blood oxygen if it's taking that reading, and your lowest heart rate in here as well. Wow, a lot of data related to the sleep. And then activity, we saw briefly that. You've got your goal. You can see how you're doing hitting your goal. What's the dotted line for it over time? You've got total calories burned on the chart, your overall walking equivalent, and your steps. And my goal is to hit something like, 8,000 steps, and I'm averaging 7,500. So a little bit extra work on my part, I should be able to get up there. Of course, I'm only halfway through the day, so I haven't earned steps to go all the way up, but by the end of the day, you'll get the final number on that as well. Your activity score is like this, and you're just sliding through the days. So these rings are great if you wear them for a long, long time, and you're able to get some kind of trend going, and you can explore individually with each of these different categories. And then finally, there's an Explore tab. You come here, and you can go into all these different kind of relaxation, mindfulness, sleeping, breathing routines. This stuff, I believe, is part of the subscription part. Just like on the Fitbit, it's these programs that you end up paying for on your monthly subscription, and they may change somewhat over time and add and take some away. So you just kind of monitor that. But they've got them broken up into the different categories. Like if you go into sleep, it's now processing to the server. And there you go. You get a much broader and deeper list of all the different programs related to that particular category. So quite a bit of meaty information here that you can play with in terms of programs that you can use. All right, we come back here to the home. This is where you can set up all of these different things and run through and set your settings and profile, and all of those things are in here. Refer a friend if you want to. And this is showing you how charged your device is, and you can put it in airplane mode and those kind of things. Quick run through, although it's deep, you could spend hours on these, but that's the Oura Ring, and I want to contrast that now with the Ringcon Ring, because both apps are great. They're really detailed, but there are some nuances and some differences. Now remember, when it comes to rings, you're going to be sizing this to your specific finger, whichever finger you're going to use it on. And so it's not as easy to just give away or sell or trade to somebody as a watch would be, or a phone. So it's uniquely custom, and for that reason it's probably good to try to decide which one you want to zero in on and use that one, unless you're crazy like me and have I'll get my impressions, have at least two. And I'm going to have some more, folks, believe it or not. Well, you've all heard the Galaxy ring is coming out someday. When that puppy hops out on my finger, we'll go into detail on that one comparatively as well. Rogbid has got a ring out now. Just heard about that. And there's another ring in the mail to me right now from Circular. That's coming out of France, I believe. So we're definitely going to be the year of the rings in 2024. So make sure you're subscribed if you haven't done that yet. These are very lightweight. They're very similar. The Rincon is a little bit thicker, but I don't notice that in the overall weight or its appearance on my finger. The Aura Generation 3 has been around a long, long time, and a lot of great stuff about them. I got way more details on the rings themselves, the charging mechanisms on them in the individual reviews, and links to that are in the show notes. But today we're focusing on the apps, right? So we looked at the Aura app and the details on that, and this is the Rincon app. And of all of these apps, Rincon's app has radically changed the most. Almost every week there's a complete redesign in how they're doing things. And the latest is this beta wellness balance chart, graph, icon, diamond, circle, whatever you want to call it. And it's really cool. It basically has taken 4 factors that we're all looking at: your sleep time versus your activity, and your vital signs versus stress management. And you get a kite or some sort of a symbol in here, and it's representative of your balance between all of those. You see the circles, with the center of the circle being where you'd ideally like to be, and a nice triangle, or not triangle, but diamond around it. This is something, like I say, innovative and new. It gives you insights, exercise suggestions, improvement indicators on that particular day, showing you in a quick synopsis your vital signs, activity, and stress management and sleep, comparing yesterday with the recent 7-day trend. So, for example, my sleep score was 83 yesterday. Can't be today because I haven't slept yet today. But the recent 7-day was 71. So I had better sleeping last night, and you can see that's the white line here on the diamond. And the blue is the 7-day average, so that'll be changing over time. They give you an assessment on that wellness balance, and like I say, break it down. So if I go back to a previous day, look how that has changed. And I think up here I can move them around. Wow, there's one where my vital signs were really low, and it says improvable, and there's completely different insights and suggestions based on that. So I applaud these guys for an innovative way to try to graphically show us in a quick synopsis how well we're doing and where we can improve. And the 7-day average always being there. Here I had way more activity than I had before. And again, it just changes from day to day. So well worth looking at. You probably see all the numbers flickering down here. That's because they're changing as well. And this is where we can go in deeper. You notice across the bottom we have insights, tabs, and then about you. You don't have all of the things broken down, so you access them from these cards. If you want to go deeper into the information about sleep, touch it. There's your goal, or your synopsis, your score, 83, and the sleep score factors that went into that: heart rate, time of sleep, a ratio, sleeping HRV. Really detailed information. Yep. And different than what we're seeing with both Fitbit and Aura as well. So I'm starting to lean to the idea that if you guys really want to, mess around with these things to your heart's content, you probably need both of these rings, the Oura and the Ringcon. I can't really tell which one. It really depends on the factors that you want to be studying as to which would be important. That graph of the sleeping and whether you're in that chrono zone that the Oura ring produces is really nice. But wow, this is amazing, showing you all of the sleep score contributions and how it adds up to your total time of sleep broken down by awake, REM, light, and deep. Okay, heart rate, HRV. And this doesn't give you the charts on those. There's your skin temperature. Now this does tell you the actual temperature, and I'm not sure how they derive that, but they've got an average for you, and it shows you the offset for that particular day. Normal, time in bed, sleep efficiency. Then you get down here, now you've got another chart. Now this chart is showing you your sleep stages, and you can scroll across them to see. There's light sleep. This is REM sleep there. Kind of hard to hit that right on. 204 to 214 and so forth. It also shows movement. These are rings after all. You're wearing them, you totally forget about them. Now, unlike a watch, you might roll over and like I said, move it around and get it dislodged from your arm and get gaps in the readings. These, as long as you have it oriented properly with the diodes at the bottom, should give you great data the whole time. And then you got the breakout, and it shows you little lines that say normally you're awake in this period. You have that much REM, the lowest and highest of your average. So you can see how well you're meeting your target. Here I was awake a little bit more and deep sleep a little bit more than and less on the REM and the light sleep on that particular day. And notice here we have sleep, HR, and stages, which is completely different. Take a look at all of this. Now we're going to switch it, and this all changes now. Now we're looking at average heart rate and movement, awake, REM, light, and deep is shown this way across time. So a different stratification of all of it. And you can turn that back if you want to go to the main chart. You can do this if you want to flip it and make it big. So lots of capabilities with this to show your data in many different ways. Now I mentioned we only have insights, trends, and me down here at the bottom, but look up here at the top. We are going across from summary, which is where we started. Now we went to sleep, which is the same as tapping that, right? And then if we go to activity and stress, we'll be hitting all of those. So activity jumps us over to here. This is the activity score, calories, step count, and shows you the actual step on those particular hours, calories, and your standing time when you actually were standing down here. This is your basal metabolism that you're going to do no matter what you're doing, and then this is extra calories that you're adding to that to take away from the food that you're eating, right, if you're doing weight management. This is time basically standing. Here's a breakout of activity intensity, another different way of graphing this data. There's little scratch marks, awake state, sleep state are the different colors, and it's showing you where you are in your different zones, literally during that half-hour period as it's tracking it across time. Your activity intensity ratio, sleep state, summary. And this is one I like to play with. When I do my daily steps walking outside that I track with my Fitbit, 250 an hour, right? I can also watch this graph and see how well it's keeping up with my average from the last week. And it starts from midnight to midnight. And if I'm below, which I am right now, I need to walk a few extra steps if I want to try to maintain a goal of getting higher than I was before. It's a fun little thing to do, but it's yet another way to play with the data. And it changes from day to day. All these charts change. Here's yesterday. See, I did much better overall. It still isn't very good, but for where I am right now recovering from a cold, it's pretty good. I was getting out and doing some stuff. And all these other charts change as you change through here as well to different days, calories, step count, all of that stuff. That's in the activity tab. We could go to stress there, or you can tap it right here. you get into a stress total score, and lower is better for stress. And I'm at 71, not good right now, average. Now, this is fun. They break it down by early morning, afternoon, and evening. And each of these, you'll see those little segments. And you can get these scores separately. Here's your different stress ratios shown here. And as you go through the different days, you can see how these are changing. This is what's highlighted. If I'm looking at morning, so you might check on a weekend. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you seeing I'm touching the things at the top? Might check on a weekend, Saturday, Sunday, look much lower. Then you get into the work day and much higher stress. And yeah, you could just figure whatever time you want to assess and look at it individually that way as well. That's your overall stress. So come back to summary. We covered all of our synopsis of your events, and now we hit into your averages and your current situation. This quadrant gets you into your vital signs. Here's heart rate. You can do an immediate measurement from your ring on your hand by tapping there. You can see a 5-minute graph, or to normalize the data a little better, you can go to a 30-minute one, and you'll see it smoothed out over a different presentation. Blood oxygen is right there. You can hit measure on that and get that one as well. Here's the blood oxygen chart running through here. And again, 5-minute or 30-minute. Heart rate variability and its chart. All of that data is there as well. And each of these you can take individual measurements on, not HRV, but your blood oxygen and your heart rate too. And we can go back to yesterday to show you like a full day's data. Day before. There's where I took it off, had it charging for a while. Day before that. See, I have all of that. Nice. Okay. That is, oh, and when you pull it down, it does an update on it too. And this up here gets you into your overall ring setting information, how much battery life is in here, your ring size, and it's a generation 1 and so forth, firmware, other things in there as well. Okay, I think we've covered pretty much everything. So starting from the summary page, you have all this information available to you. We've looked at each of these other tabs coming down from here through these 4. Now you go to the health timeline and you can see different things that it's giving you for advice. Health timeline for going to bed, calorie goals, time to unwind, waking up, and you can view less on that if you want to. And that's your basic daily information. Then you go to trends and you get yet another whole palette of information by sleep, activity, stress, and others, the same quadrants. Here's your total activity score over the last several days, steps and standing activity, the stress score there, moderately stressed period, high stressed periods, how many of those did you have, your sleep score, your average sleep efficiency. Really a lot of data in this one. We could, like I say, spend hours. We are going to spend a whole hour just looking at these. And then heart rate, and that's all broken up, and then blood oxygen as well. All of that stuff in this trend section here. And I think we hit it all, but that came from sleep, and we followed through on everything there. Oh no, this is different still. Okay, your sleep score, and then you've got average sleep efficiency. I mean, any of these things that you're interested in, if they're affecting you, you can drill down into it. Your time in bed. My average is 8.5 hours in bed, but that's not my actual sleep time. REM duration. If you're trying to practice lucid dreaming, this might be an area where you want to work on increasing your dream state. Light sleeping, deep. If you're trying to heal yourself, a lot of the healing comes when you're in deep sleep. So what can you do to avoid any kind of irritation or annoyances that wake you up and maximize your deep sleep? Your sleeping heart rate and HRV, naps, skin temperature is in here too. And that's on the sleep tab. Activities, M and V intensity, okay. Steps, inactivity, if you want to track that instead. Low, moderate, vigorous intensity. Calories, basal metabolism, and total calories burned. Yeah. The stress score, broken down to morning, early morning, morning, afternoon, and evening, right? Low, normal, moderate, high stress periods. So there's so much data, it can all be cut and diced in these different ways. And here we look again at heart rate, blood oxygen, and HRV as categories for this overall one we called others. Wow, that's all in the trends. Me is about you and the ring and setting things up, and that's covered in the basic review of the app. But a lot of what I wanted to point out is some of the major changes in how they're presenting the data, this new wellness balance concept that's part of it, and they've improved the efficiency of connecting to the ring as well and transferring the data. So a lot of growth in a very young company that's done the Ringcon ring. Wow, all right, well, one more thing to mention about this one that's actually not the app, but from the app. Check this out. You can install widgets. Yep, on Android. I'm not sure about iOS, but the Ringcon app allows widgets, and it will dynamically change and update the information right on your screen. Of course, you can put them anywhere you want to. And if you tap any of these, like heart rate, it'll pop you right over there. Come back out of it. Get your blood oxygen if you want to. Hello, I guess it's in the same card, but just further down, right? And then, of course, your heart rate variability. All three of these measurements, you see it's syncing right now, are instantly available from the widget that you put in here. And there's a couple of others that you can install as well. Now, that's good news. I also want to mention for the Fitbit app. Now, Google owns Fitbit, right? And Fitbit's been around for a long time. And to this day, the app has not shifted to where you have options for dark mode. Dark mode is, we just saw it on the last app. It's really nice if you want that not so bright background. And every app has it, but not these guys. Go into settings. Yeah, Google wants me to move to their account. Now, maybe if I move to their account, they got the dark screen. Let me know, because I haven't moved it yet. I'm keeping it with Fitbit since I've been with them so long. But you go down in here to app settings. You got all kinds of things, but you have no control over the dark screen. So that's kind of a bummer that I find in terms of the Fitbit app. And lastly, with the Oura Ring, here you are with dark mode. Isn't it nice with the pictures and everything? It's just so handsome. You get these notices for app updates. You can literally update within the app itself without leaving it, or of course you can update through the Google Play Store. If you have activities, I wanted to show you how this is broken up. It shows you where there's an activity in here. You can confirm it, you can edit it, you can do all those kind of things with it as well. Now, not only is there the Oura app, but Oura has a presence on a website that you can call up and log in and get all of your data, and I mean all of your data, right there, beautiful, on a web browser, which means you could do it on your Android watch in your basic Chrome browser and have your ring on and look at your data live right there. There is a great overview of that already. I'm going to have links in the show notes to a lot of things. One of them is going to be, I'll take you directly to the place where we review Oura on the web, okay? We'll also have direct links to the reviews of these apps, the original ones, for the Oura, the Ringcon, and the Fitbit. You might want to look at those in addition to what you've just watched, because I cover different things and the apps have changed. So if you're really looking for a robust overall, you'll see a lot of repeat, but you'll see a few different things that I probably didn't cover in one or the other. In terms of summary on this, we've got one watch. This is the one I wanted to show you the main app on, because these three particular devices and their associated apps I've found are pretty much the best on the market if you're into health and biometric tracking and analyzing your data. So the Fitbit Sense or Versa, got links in the show notes for you to use if you'd like to pick these things up. And using the links here really helps me keep the channel going. And if you found this information valuable, really appreciate that support. The Ringcon Ring, okay, that's this one. And we just finished its review app. Again, there's no subscription associated with this. You buy the ring and that's all, and you're done. With Fitbit, you buy the watch and you're basically done unless you want some enhanced data, and you can subscribe for a monthly fee. Same thing with the Oura Ring. It has a subscription fee. I think these are comparable in price. Sometimes you can get them on sale. There is no haptic touch on them. There's no button and there's no vibration. So they are just what they are. You put them on, you wear them, and you're done. You can swim in them, you can sleep in them, you can do all kinds of things. Don't bang them too hard. I wouldn't wear them doing manual labor if you can avoid it. But they're really sturdy. They've lasted a long time without tarnish. They could be cleaned right now, polished up, and they'd look brighter. But they come in the different colors, different sizes, so they're great. Two of the new ones, the Rogbid Ring and the Circular Ring, now have a touch button on them, I believe. So you can do things. And when we get those in, of course, we'll take a look at what they can do for you. Thank you guys for watching. One more time, I'll let you know that Cosbet is going to be gifting us a bunch of new watches here shortly. Their incremental upgrade, they call it, announced at the Consumer Electronics Show in January 2024 from their existing line of watches, which they already have reviews on all of these. Just go to smartwatchticks.com and in the little magnifying glass, put in Cosbet, and you can check them all out. We still don't even know the names and numbers. They're coming out soon, but this is what they'll look like, and we'll have each of them here for a review early this spring, I think. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you again soon.